Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the complex, dynamic, and, let's be honest, often chaotic world of the modern classroom. We'll be looking at the incredible diversity of learners and the environments that teachers have to navigate every single day.
Okay, let's really get into this, because this one sentence, it perfectly captures the fundamental challenge every educator faces. It's the great paradox of the modern classroom, right? You've got one teacher, maybe one lesson plan, but a room full of unique individuals, each with their own way of thinking, feeling, and seeing the world. To really get a handle on this challenge, we first need to map the environment itself. And it's not just about what you can see on the surface. Nope, it's all about the hidden layers of diversity that shape every single interaction in that room. So, the big word here is heterogeneity. And this isn't just about students coming from different backgrounds, though that's part of it. It goes way deeper. We're talking about the built-in variations in how they think, how they behave, and how they process information, all of which directly impacts how, and frankly, if they learn. Now, what's really fascinating is how this diversity breaks down. It's not just one thing. You've got all these different dimensions happening at once. We're talking about huge swings in motivation levels, totally different ideas about discipline, massive gaps in what students already know, and of course, a whole spectrum of learning styles. And the key thing to remember is these factors don't exist in a vacuum. A student might be super motivated but have a weak foundation, or learn incredibly fast but just can't sit still. It's this messy intersection that makes every single classroom a uniquely complex and, unpredictable puzzle to solve. So we've kind of mapped the environment. Now let's zoom in on the people inside it. The source material gives us some really powerful archetypes to help us understand the different thinking styles you'll find in any group. So who are they, really?
First up, the analytical thinker. You know this student. They thrive on order, on logic. They want the syllabus, the rubric, the step-by-step instructions. For them, learning is about consistency and a clear, straight path from point A to point B.
And then you've got the creative minds. These are the students who just flourish when they have the freedom to experiment, to take risks, and to connect ideas in ways you'd never expect. A rigid structure can totally shut them down, but an open-ended project, that's where they shine. And a teacher has to somehow engage both of these types at the same time. And this brings us to what might be the most critical factor of all, motivation. I mean, it's the engine of learning, right? But it's not just a simple on or off switch. Motivation exists on this incredible spectrum, from pure, unadulterated passion to, sheer panic. This table just lays it out perfectly. You've got these two opposite ends of the spectrum. On one side, you have the obsessed learner. This is someone driven by a genuine intrinsic love for the subject. They learn because it's fun. And on the other side, you have the desperate learner, who's driven by a deep-seated fear of failure or intense external pressure. They're learning to avoid a bad grade, and that whole experience is often soaked in anxiety. But in reality, of course, a teacher's classroom is a mix of all these types and more. You've got your balanced learners who can shift between passion and pressure, and then you have your apathetic learners who can be the toughest to reach. A single one-size-fits-all teaching strategy, it just has no chance of working in this kind of diverse emotional landscape. So all of this builds up to a really stark contrast, the ideal classroom versus the real one. Let's take a look at the huge gap between the classroom we often imagine and the challenging, messy one that educators actually walk into every day.
You know, we all have this picture of the perfect classroom. It's a nice, manageable size. Every single student is motivated, has the right background knowledge, and behavior is never, ever an issue. In this dream world, teaching is basically a science. You just follow the formula, and it works.
But the reality is a whole different ballgame. It's a messy, dynamic system of competing motivations, knowledge gaps, behavioral challenges, and students who just aren't there sometimes. This kind of environment demands constant adaptation, emotional intelligence, and a whole lot of creativity from the teacher. So, if the ideal classroom is pretty much a myth, how do effective educators possibly navigate this unpredictable and challenging reality? Well, the answer isn't in finding some perfect formula. It's in mastering an art form. And here it is. This is the crucial point. The science of education, all the data, the strategies, the pedagogical theories, that stuff provides the foundation. It's absolutely essential. But it's the art of teaching, That ability to connect, adapt, and inspire in real time that actually makes learning happen. It's the blend of the two that creates magic. This art can really be broken down into 3 core practices. First, there's differentiated instruction, which is just a fancy way of saying you tailor your lessons to serve both the analytical thinker who needs that structure and the creative thinker who's craving freedom. Second, you use a bunch of different motivational strategies to fuel the obsessed learner's passion, to ease the desperate learner's anxiety, and to find a spark in the apathetic. And third, you have thoughtful behavior management to create a space where everyone feels safe enough to actually learn.
Ultimately, mastering this art is a journey of reflection, adaptation, and empathy. The takeaway here isn't just for teachers, it's for anyone in a leadership or mentorship role. The real challenge isn't finding the perfect team or the perfect environment, it's developing the art of succeeding in the one you actually have. So the question to leave you with is, where does that art begin for you?